Welcome to Saturday Night Special. We have some hot political issues that we want to discuss, and so we are bringing you the best political minds in the town to discuss some hot political issues. And who's best to host this than my man from the Hour of Politics, Mr. Anthony Cyr.
Mr. Jad, thank you. You said it right. This is Hot Politics at this hour on only one network, and that is Focus on Liberia. I am co-hosting with Mr. Dennis Jad, and this discussion promises to be politically intriguing. Sit back, share the show, and we are here to give it to you as we know best. In the house, we have joining us for the first time in studio, Wayne City. Mr. City, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
That is Wayne Saleh there on Facebook as Christmas Saleh. Christmas Saleh, as you all know, has been around and has been talking politics. But this time we got him in a hot seat to answer some tough questions. Also, we have with us our analyst here, Mr. Wilmon Konen. Mr. Konen, as always, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Mr. Konen, you muted yourself.
Happy to be back again to discuss national political issues facing our country.
Thank you. And so, folks, in cyberspace, this is all we have packaged for you. We will discuss the Senate rejection of Tapla Davis, aka Zoely Zoe. He was appointed by the president and got rejected. We will go into that. Also, we will be discussing the CPP Squabble. As you know, there has been a lot of news going on in the CPP, something that seems to be a lot of confusion going there. We'll go into all of that. There have been a lot of press conferences. There have been attacks from each side, and we will break it all down and provide some analysis. And the last topic is a leak letter that's been going around that suggests that the CDC is asking for somewhere around 80,000 United States or more from its government to fund its retreat. Is that information credible? Is that letter legit or fake? We will go into that also. So this is all we have packaged for you for this hot protocol discussion this evening. I'm your host, Anthony Cyr, and also hosting is Mr. Dennis Jad. Mr. Jad, how do you feel right now before we get business started here?
There are more political heavyweights that are on their way, including Dr. Batom Kula, one of our analysts here on Focus on Liberia. And we also have the guy who takes no prisoner, Mr. George Preston Lobo. He also supposed to be on his way, and it's all exciting. But I'm excited to have Mr. Wendell Saleh, aka Christmas Saleh, joining us for the first time on Focus on Liberia.
All right, and so folks, again, we will ask you as always to hit that share button as we go into the conversation. Folks, stay tight and we are getting started here. Mr. Saleh, since you are our guest, let's know a little bit about you. Many people see you on Facebook, you talk the politics, but not much we know about you. So just a little bit about you, Mr. Saleh.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Wendell Christmas Saleh, and born and raised in Liberia, came to the U.S. a few years ago and studied here. I am a Marine veteran and an advocate of the oppressed. I'm a defender of the peace. I am a promise amongst my peers. I try to be unwavering, undamned, unequal. And so far, that's what I would say about me. I'm a husband and a father. I'm 29 years old. And I have great aspirations and great hopes for the future, and let God will be done.
Christmas Saleh right there. I think he pronounces his name as Saleh. We are happy to have you. Also, we have Mr. Wilman Kone, I will not allow him to introduce himself because he's been fine. That's a joke. Mr. Kone is the executive director for the Liberian Diaspora Political Action Committee. He joins us from Philadelphia, and he is an analyst here at Focus on Liberia. He's always here. Those of you who follow us, you see him all the time. And he is a political heavyweight. Let's get started. So our first topic for the night, Mr. Tapla Davis, aka Zoely Zoe, was appointed and was rejected by the committee in the Senate that was responsible to make the recommendation for his confirmation. And so the fact is that he did not get the job. There are a lot of arguments around his rejection. Some people said what he said sometime ago on Facebook is not something that constitutes a threat to anybody. So his rejection was more like political. While others argue that he was rejected on ethical grounds, given his background as a military person to have made threats that he would kill some people, that was serious enough for him to be denied his confirmation. Thank God Chris Monselle is here, who also comes from that military background, whether or not that is something anybody from the military would say and be deemed as ethical, or that's something that should not threaten the life of anybody. And so to get started, we will roll the ball over to our guest, Mr. Zoely. Chris Mons, Zoely Zoe is rejected. What's your reaction?
Sir, I think the rejection of Mr. Zoely Zoe is in the best interest of Liberia. Mr. Zoely Zoe was rejected on ethical grounds. And it is incumbent upon us to, for the first time, for some people, to give the Senate their flowers while they are alive. Here are some few reasons why Zoely Zoe is ethically unfit for the job. You see, sir, whenever we apply for a job, often when you enter the interview room, the first thing the interviewer will ask you is, which school did you graduate at? What was your last job you worked? Maybe how long you worked that job? What's your highest level of education? Basically, the interviewer wants to know, are you smart? Because they don't want to come out right up front and say, hey, you smart? That would be a little bit rude and all. So they come and ask you all these questions. Now, your intellectual quotient. There are people who have the intellectual quotient. Basically, they have all the papers credential for the job, but they do not have the emotional wherewithal to lead the company forward or to do the job. You might be intellectually ready for the job. Your papers credentials are okay, but what's about your emotional quotient? We often forget to ask that question in interview. We always worried about people intellectual quotient, the paper they bring to the job. Oh, I graduated from this school. And so oftentimes we mistake offensive name of a university for quality education. So people go ahead flaunting papers around here, forgetting that the paper will not do the job. It is real people who do the job. We forget to question people's emotional quotient. And from all indication on ethical grounds, Brother Zoely Zoe do not have the emotional wherewithal to get the armed forces of Liberia going in the right direction. The armed forces of Liberia is a force for good. And from all indication, Brother Zoely Zoe is not a man of good conscience for the job. Now, let's forget about the emotional quotient. What's about his adaptability quotient? This is a man who refused, first of all, in the military, we don't even talk like that. You talk like that, come on the social media and make a threat. I want to go to the extreme to say that's terroristic threat to the Liberian people, that you will kill people when people touch your property. Liberia, after all, Liberia is not a country of men. Liberia is a country of law. So if you become a defense minister of operation, deputy defense minister of operation, and you can say rather than use the law, you will kill Liberian people. He said it in the light of peaceful protest. When the people was assembling to protest, that's when he made that comment. There are videos circulating where this man have publicly threatened all government officials who are not, quote unquote, seditionists. He didn't stop there. He attacked the information minister. He went further to attack the NSA director. Do you know who is an NSA director? That's equivalent to the FBI boss in the United States. That seditious should go to his office and storm it. Why? because he's not a seditious. He do not have the emotional quotient for the job. Now let's talk about his adaptability quotient. Zoely Zoe been out of the military over 9 months ago. I stand to be corrected. And Zoely Zoe cannot, from all indications, Zoely Zoe cannot adapt to civilian life. By the grace of God, with the help of my wife and my family and friends and loved ones, I was able to smoothly transition from the military. I smoothly transition into civilian life. Zoely Zoe have proven that he do not have the adaptability quotient. He might have the intellectual quotient, but we need more than that for the job. We need somebody with the emotional quotient, somebody who will be there when things are high or when things go low, somebody who will not panic. Because now you're going to be a leader of the armed forces. You're going to be a leader on the board of security for Liberia. We don't need people who do not have emotional balance. Yes. So based on those grounds, questioning his emotional quotient, his adaptability quotient, the Senate did what was right, what is right for the Liberian people to reject Brother Zoely Zoe.
Mr. Zoely, and I want to make sure Zoely Zoe is watching, and he said, you guys, but you started with ethical, okay? I want you to delve a little more into that when you say, he was rejected on ethical ground or he's not ethically. So let's talk about the ethical side of it.
Thank you. Now, when we talk about ethical, some people, I tell you what, me being a Marine, an honorably discharged Marine, what makes the United States military powerful is not only the might of our arms, it's not the size of our weapons or how many people we kill in combat. What makes the United States military powerful, it is the discipline. Discipline is number one. From day one, the day you sign those dotted lines, right in front of your recruiter, discipline starts from there. Discipline is the hallmark of a Marine. Well, you know what? I would say discipline is the hallmark of the United States Armed Forces. That's what distinguishes us from all other forces on earth. Discipline. But Zoely Zoe did not exhibit discipline, and discipline is an ethical grounds. Zoely Zoe is not disciplined. This is a man who's supposed to be a sergeant of soldiers. A sergeant of soldiers. But will come on Facebook Live, use profanity, knowing very well all these people who are watching right now, some of them from India, Italy, all over the world. But he don't care because he's not ethical, he's not disciplined. And discipline is the hallmark of United States military. So, Brother Zoely Zoe, just the fact that you serve in the military does not qualify you for that position of Defense Minister of Operations. Our military is the best military in the world because of discipline, because of loyalty, honor, because we obey laws and regulations and human rights and the dignity of all men, regardless of whether they agree with us or not. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. In Okinawa, Japan, there are Japanese people who come to protest every day. I was on Camp Schwab. I'm an infantry rifleman. And then later, when I got my injury, I was transferred to a headquarters battalion because I could not do much in the field anymore because of my injury. But I tell you what, when protesters will come almost every day to protest at Camp Schwab in Okinawa, we don't go telling people, if you do this, I will kill you. I will do that. No, we are disciplined people. Zoely Zoe do not have the discipline for Defense Minister of Operations.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Cooney on his reaction to Mr. Tapla Davis' rejection by the Senate committee. Mr. Cooney.
Well, Dennis, again, I want to say that I want to thank FOL for creating these platforms for discussion of these very important issues. Listening to my brother in his reaction to the rejection of the brother, I think he made some very, very salient points. But for me, the way I view it is that, especially as chairman of the Liberian Diaspora Political Action Committee, the way I view it is that there is some silver lining in this entire process. First of all, the entire thing was done constitutionally. The president has the constitutional right to nominate, to appoint anyone that he deemed fit to be part of his team. And the Senate has the consenting authority. And the silver lining that I talk about in this thing that is consistent with LIPA is that for a very long time, we have been advocating that we need to move our democracy from the current quantitative form to a higher qualitative level in terms of everything that we do, in terms of determining our leaders, in terms of discussing issues, even the national discourse. And that in a democracy, people must be held responsible for what they say. The freedom of expression is guaranteed by the Constitution, but like all freedoms, it is not absolute. If you read the Constitution, it says the speaker bear the responsibility thereof. Now, that is a general term. That burden of bearing the responsibility comes in so many forms. It could come in the form of litigation. It could come in the form of different areas of other lawful actions. It could come in the form of somebody using your speech and finding it unacceptable for you to occupy a certain position in public service. So I do understand all of the points made. The brother is being held accountable for his speech. My only hope is that there should not be a limited situation. It should not be a one-off. We should be able to examine our public officials in all of their lives, the academic life, the competency issue, the temperament, the judgment issue. I want to believe that we should do all this for all public officials. If it becomes a situation where it is only targeted to few people, then the whole process is counterproductive. But the more important point is that legislators that are in that position to make that judgment also need to improve their conduct. They need to improve their level of professionalism. You can have a situation where a legislator, instead of legislating, exercising oversight responsibility, daily going to the grounds of the Capitol building, using vulgarities against the president or against anybody in the country for that matter. And because you are protected by the legislature, you can't have people behaving in the same emotional manner in which we detest that a brother is committing, being members of our parliament. Legislators spilling coffee, hot water on one another, legislators behaving rudely in session. As a country, we have to rise up. We have to improve the quality of our governance. And so while I understand the position of people who agree with this decision, I see it in a much more comprehensive form. Let this cut across. Let it also applies to our advocacy. We can have national advocates.
Mr. Cooney, are you trying to imply that Zoely Zoe was singled out for political reason? Is it something that is not being done consistently? Is that what you are trying to imply?
Well, what I'm saying is that there are evidence of so many behaviors on the part of individuals and high level of governance that exhibit this kind of behavior, and there is no punishment, there is no reprimand, and so I'm citing the examples in not only in government, even in advocacy. For example, when somebody is advocating, or when it's believed that somebody is advocating for social rights, social justice, and we use inflammatory languages like we're going to drag our president in the street, I'm saying those who find this behavior on the part of the brother objectionable I'm saying let us be consistent to express these objections. Let us do away with this idea that because, the same way we treat corruption, when the corruption is close to whom, it is our corruption. We embrace it, we support it. When far from us, we become very vocal against it. So I'm saying that let us improve our discourse. The languages that we use matter. The way we talk to one another matter. The way we discuss issues matter. It matter for the advocate. It matter for the presidential appointee. It matter for those who sit in judgment of other people. You can't have an emotional a body behaving emotionally, and then where you have other individuals in that body behaving in the same way.
So
making the same decision. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not here to second guess what the Senate did. I'm saying the Senate acted within its constitutional purview. I'm just saying let us be consistent in using these variables.
Thank you, Mr. Kone. Let me come to you, Christmas. Christmas, what I observe is people in the opposition bloc celebrated Zoely Zoe rejection. Is there any moral reason why they felt the need to have celebrated the way they did?
Yes. Actually, the reason why, from my own honest opinion, why people celebrated Brother Zoely Zoe denial of confirmation is because Zoely Zoe carried himself not as a representative of the Liberian people, as Deputy Minister of Defense. An example, my friend Ishiaka Sharif, a very astute sedition, he was confirmed. Ishiaka Sharif had told many lies on Facebook, some of which we caught on cameras. Ishiaka Sharif was nominated, subsequently confirmed as Assistant Minister for the Department of Internal Affairs. The reason why people rejoice and celebrate Zoely Zoe or denial is because of the way he carried himself, not as that I will serve the Liberian people as your defense minister of operation. His idea was about being cruel. His idea was about being sedition. I am a sedition myself, but you don't be too extreme to say that you're doing your whole time or your whole service as defense minister of operation that you only going to serve seditions. That's why people didn't want him across the aisle. There were seditions. Look, I went from office to office, Mr. Moderator. I went from senator office to senator office. And some of those places that I went, Mr. Moderator, seditions were with me. There were two people who are real, serious, die-hard seditions. Whoever I called an in, you will know. They were with me when we went from office to office, senator office to senator office. I was the one of those, at least, let me say one of those, not to take all the credit, who undertake the Zoely Zoe struggle. When I went to Liberia, I went to the Capitol building, to the House of Senate. Mr. Moderator, listen to me when I tell you. I had a speaker from senator office to senator office. I was playing Mr. Zoely Zoe clip and explaining what this will mean for Liberia and the military. Liberia military is a force for good. The AFL has been doing well since Mana Salif. And all the good work that the AFL has done since 2000, and since Mana Salif restructured the AFL, it takes one person to screw it up. It takes one person to screw it up. The AFL is a force for good, not a force because Zoely Zoe will be on the committee, on the National Security Committee. When Liberia will launch war on any country, it will pass through Zoely Zoe office. In time of protest, security method will be put into place, will pass through Zoely Zoe office. Defense Minister for Operations.
Christmas, are you trying to suggest here that Mr. Zoely Zoe is not mentally stable to occupy such a consequential job?
No, I wouldn't suggest that. Okay. Because me being a veteran myself, that is the stigma that almost all veterans carry.
Okay. Once
you serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, somehow it means you're crazy. Zoely Zoe is not crazy. Zoely Zoe is a sound man. Zoely Zoe, I respect the brother, his service to this country. I believe he do not have the temperament for the job. He do not have the temperament for the job. Mentally, I am not a doctor to evaluate him. But if you ask me for my honest opinion, Zoely Zoe is a sound man. He's a sound man. He knows what he's doing. So when he tell you that he will do this because he's cruel or he will do this because he's a sedition, it has nothing to do with him being mentally off.
And
he's
so,
stable, but he do not have the temperament for the job.
So, Chrismon, earlier you said he's extreme. So is the extreme nature of Zoely Zoe, especially in politics, that scare you to death?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a Marine. You never scare a Marine. Because God himself has special favors. Special favor. God himself has special favor on U.S. Marines. There is no way a Marine can be afraid of anybody. The only thing I'm afraid of is God. Not even death I'm afraid of. But in the interest of the Liberian people, the ordinary Liberian people, who from time to time will assemble to petition their government for a redress, as an advocate of the oppressed, as a defender of the peace, as a friend of the forgotten people in forgotten places, I was never for them. After all, I am an American citizen. This is my adopted home. That doesn't mean I cannot go home. But imagine a Zoely Zoe who will come on Facebook Live with all power. Nigga power here. He's telling you to go and storm the NSA. Do you know who is NSA? Zoely Zoe is telling you to go and storm NSA. What will Zoely Zoe do to the ordinary Liberian who get in the street to protest, to petition the government for a redress?
Chris
man who will say go and storm the NSA office.
Chris Mons, some people believe that Zoely Zoe just tried to be extreme in his politics. He has no record of harming anybody. And so to have denied him because of what somebody will consider as main Facebook threat is a little bit over the top. What do you say to that?
I said that's wrong. Here in America, Mr. Host, what is the essence of background check? That's what I provided for the Liberians free of charge. I did for them what they would not spend money to do, background check. Mr. Host, if you have a background record on your background check, if it appears that you have on your record theft of property. Theft of property is no harm to nobody. It's only theft of property. Petty theft in the grocery store. That doesn't pose a threat to nobody's life. But that on your record will deny you the privilege to certain jobs in the civilized world. Because you are being held accountable for those things that you did before. That's the essence of background check. Some people brought the bogus argument to say, but the telling me last time he was not appointed yet. What is the essence of background check? To find out on those things that you did before. The statement that Brother Zoely Zoe have made before. The first law of nature is self-perseverance. To preserve the Liberian people from the danger of Zoely Zoe temper or temperament. To preserve the Liberian people from Zoely Zoe tribalistic ideology and selfish political ambition, deny him. Because Zoely Zoe only try to be popular and score political upon the Liberian people. And that will cost people their lives.
Thank you. Mr. Kone. Mr. Kone. Hold on, Mr. Kone. Let me ask this question. You can come in. Chris Point said the threats that Zoely Zoe made are tantamount to a terroristic threat. And so on that ground, he should be, the Senate was right to have denied him. Is that something you accept?
Well, it's not a question of accept or rejecting. Like I already indicated, the entire confirmation process is a political process. So the Senate would do, they would do what they find political. They would do what is in the best interest of the Senate. And for me, again, I go back to the point that, look, the brother spoke brilliantly about what he believes to be the flaws of the candidate. What I'm saying is that all of us here, we agree to accountability. Many things go wrong in Liberia because there is this culture of impunity. But the reason why we continue to suffer from this culture is the discriminatory nature in which we apply the standard of accountability. I see the nominee has no different from a political leader who is who is expressing a political view using the same very social media platform to agitate for changes in Liberia. I'm saying the same way this nominee is being held accountable, let us also muster the courage to hold other people accountable. It is unacceptable for anybody, for whatever political reason, to say that you're going to drag the president of the republic in the street. That is a very cruel statement. And if what Zoely Zoe says is terroristic, what can be more terroristic to somebody saying that the president of the republic must be dragged in the street? What is more terroristic than that? So I'm talking about a uniform application of accountability. The opposition, like you rightly gauged, there are a lot of jubilations in opposition cycle, but we've yet to come across any serious condemnation from the opposition regarding some of these most inflammatory statements that I'm making reference to, whether it is from Yaka Koluba, whether it is from Costa, whether it's from other people. And I'm saying the way we improve the discourse is to hold people accountable. But if we pursue it in a selective fashion, then we would be undercutting ourselves. Because I also believe that people should be held responsible for what they do. Be held responsible for what you say. Be responsible for your actions. But the application should not be selective. If we continue on that path, we will be defeated the same way the war on corruption has defeated us. Because we become loud when the corruption is far from us, but when you're in our quarters, it is our own corruption. That's the point I'm making on this issue.
Thank you. And gentlemen, I think there is agreement here that I will characterize it that way, that this young man is the one who shot himself in the leg. That is why he didn't land this job, because there are people we know who are in government that are as qualified as he is, and they got the job, and some maybe less qualified than he is, and he did not get a job. So it's because of what he said. And Coney is right. We need to hold everybody accountable, and that's a fair point. So now that we have this agreement, what next for Zoely Zoe? You go or silly. What next? What can the president do? It seems to be the president wanted this young man on his team. Christmas.
Sir, thank you so much, Mr. Host. But Mr. Moderator, to say that Brother Zoely Zoe is qualified, I want you to, if for the sake of the English language, for the sake of being for the sake of communicating very well, I would want you to say Zoely Zoe might be qualified by paper. But Zoely Zoe, you cannot say he's qualified, because being qualified is not just by paper. Being qualified also has to do with your intellectual qualification, your emotional qualification, and then your adaptability qualification. You might be qualified academically, intellectually, but you could be disqualified emotionally. Mr. Host, you can agree with me that there are some places in life that you may have the intelligence, that is the intellectual quotient to do the job, but your emotions will deny you. I tell you some places. The military.
Christmas, I think you're talking about suitability there, and if that's what you meant, then I have no argument. But on the issue of qualification, that's your argument, but I think you're talking about suitability here.
Yes, sir. So the brother is not qualified because of his consistent emotional outburst that raised alarm, that threatened the lives of the Liberian people, that threatened the military. The Liberian military is a force for good. But Mr. Host, let's move forward.
Yeah,
so the way forward?
Yeah.
The way forward here is, if the president of Liberia thinks that Zoely Zoe is qualified, not only intellectually, but also emotionally, then the president hires Zoely Zoe as his personal EPS. I believe Zoely Zoe is all about Zoely Zoe is about being cruel and being a sedition. It has never been about the Liberian people. So Mr. Zoely Zoe is all about being a sedition and the president. It's all about being cruel. Let the president, if the president believes that Zoely Zoe has the emotional quotient, let the president hire Zoely Zoe in your EPS. And the president EPS already can be shooting each other. The other day you hear that EPS shoot AFL. The other day you say EPS shoot one minister in the leg. They said the EPS gun was not unsafe, it was mistake, the gun discharge. Let the president hire Zoely Zoe in your own EPS and pay him any amount of money you want to pay Zoely Zoe. We ain't get problem.
That's the way forward.
Yes. Or at the end of the day, let Zoely Zoe pack his bags and come back to America and live the American dream. Get on the clock like everybody else, push hours like everybody else. But
thank you.
I doubt he would do that. But the way forward is don't bring Zoely Zoe anywhere close to the defense ministry. Carry Zoely Zoe to popular work, carry him to MCC, carry him to anywhere that does not require confirmation. Because even if you nominate him as assistant minister to general, those same issues will rise again. Those same issues will rise again. What made you think the man might have changed? Carry the minister of general.
Thank you, Christmas.
They don't address it because you're not sedition.
Thank you, Christmas.
The president appoints Zoely Zoe to places where require no confirmation.
Thank you. And Mr. Coney, the way forward for Zoely Zoe. What can the president do? What can Zoely Zoe do?
Well, to be honest with you, this is really an unpleasant situation. I don't know this brother very well. My colleague here seemed to know him pretty much. I really don't know him very well, but he seems pretty much like someone who has maybe the necessary training, the necessary skills, and that may have, gotten in trouble by, things that he expresses. It is debatable whether we have the outcome that we have if that particular Facebook post had not been made, whether he would not have been confirmed. And my only problem I have with the young man is that I think he should have owned up to the statement that he made before the Senate. And if he felt that the statement was not a proper statement, take responsibility for that statement and apologize for the statement. The senators are all honorable individuals. Who knows what the outcome could have been? But, the fact that there seems not to have been a spirit of contrition at the hearing, I think all of that worked against him. We all are humans. We make mistakes. We make errors. And there are some of us that believe in second chances. So I don't think the future is closed for him completely. What I will not advise is the suggestion by other people that the president can appoint him as acting minister or acting defense operation minister to the same position to which he was rejected. I think it would be turning the Constitution on its head. I think once the Senate make a firm decision on the nominee as to his confirmation, I think it would serve us all well if that would be honor. But to second vendor to say that he can be appointed to the same position in an acting capacity, that's something I will not encourage. That's something I don't agree to. That's something that I don't endorse. But,
thank you. But
let me make my last point. Again, the Constitution is very clear. The president is the chief executive of the executive branch of government. And it is the constitutional responsibility of the president to bring people around his team that will advance the agenda of the executive. So if the president still feels that there is a role that Zoely Zoe can play in his government, there are a lot of positions that require non-Senate confirmation, for which the president may prefer him. For example, he could be an advisor to the president on military affairs. It does not require Senate confirmation. These are constitutional routes the president can go. But I would totally be opposed to the president reappointing him, to the same position for which the Senate has clearly rejected him. I think that would be turning the Constitution on its head.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia on a Saturday special, and it's all pure hard politics. We are moving to our next segment, and that is the CPP Squabble. The collaborating protocol parties have been going at each other's throat. It's all started when Mr. Benina Ure, who we know to be the chairman of the CPP, had a press conference and made comments that didn't go down with folks in the ANC. And so there were reactions and attacks on not only his person, but also on his character. After that, the LAP, which is the All Liberian Party, the party of Benina Ure, LP, sorry. Oh, it's LP. Okay, LP, the
ALP.
Yeah, that's why it is. Yeah, ALP. ALP, what's his name? Henry Pedro Costa is a member of that protocol party, and Benina Ure having to be his protocol leader. And so when he heard folks from the ANC saying things about Benin Ure, how they were disappointed about his position, I think Benin Ure said that, he will support Mr. Boaka. And so there were a lot of things said, and Pedro Costa came in defense of his political leader and also went after the ANC folks. And so they've been going back and forth, thereby, putting the entire CPP arrangement into complete chaos, if I can use that word. So let me come to you, Christmas. Maybe you have followed the issue. Is there any reason why people in the opposition should worry about this unfolding event in the CPP?
Absolutely. I think the situation right now, the event unfolding in CPP is very scaring and it's very jarring, and everybody should pay keen attention to it. But in my humble opinion, this is what I think. I think the CPP is taking advantage of the ANC. Now, by all means, I'm not a fan of the ANC. By the end of the day, when people try to bully or take advantage of people, that's where you find Christmas standing up. I feel like the CPP is taking advantage of ANC here. The argument of 2017 was Arizona was not popular, okay? But between 2017 or 2020, that's 3 years, or should I say almost 3 years since the election. Almost 3 years. A whole lot has happened since then. Mr. Cummings has gained supporters. He has lost supporters. Joseph Boaka has gained some supporters. He has lost some supporters. So a whole lot has happened since 2017 up to present. For the ANC to suggest bring the voter perception survey is no binding. If we do the voter perception survey, my only concern is who will pay for it. If Benin you are scared to bring your own share of the money, Joseph Boaka is scared to bring a share of the money, and maybe Nyomli Kanga is scared to bring a share of the money, maybe the ordinary Liberians will raise the money for the voter perception survey because obviously Kumi is not afraid to bring a share of the money. That's why he suggested this in the first place. But this whole voter perception survey thing, if you bring it, if Mr. Benin Ayure, first of all, I don't see why ANC attacking Benin Ayure. Benin Ayure vote is only one vote. Benin Ayure, he might be the head of the CPP, but he said he will support Joseph Boaka. His vote is only one vote. There's no need to attack the brother. He has the right to support who he wants to support. But if people, my brother Henry Costa will suggest that based on the election record of 2017, to suggest that Joseph Boaka is more popular than Arizona Cummings, well, Mr. Boaka, why are you afraid of the voter perception survey? Let's go through the voter perception survey. After that, after all, it's not binding anyway. The voter perception survey could say Nyomli Kanga is the most popular candidate. You could go to primary or consensus and they decide to choose Benin Ayure. The voter perception survey is not binding. So why is Joseph Boaka, and Joseph Boaka, who is the elder in the room amongst his peers, amongst Arizona Cummings, Benin Ayure, Nyomli Kanga, Lawrence, Joseph Boaka is the elder in the room. And Joseph Boaka is silent. That only suggests to me that Joseph Boaka is in a coup. He's in a conspiracy against Mr. Arizona Cummings. Because
Christmas.
Yes, sir.
I think you're making a wild accusation, in my opinion. Why, if Mr. Boaka is talking in-house and not coming public, for you to suggest that he's in cahoots because he's not saying anything public, don't you think you might be in error?
Well, maybe I just could be in error. Like I said, that's my humble opinion. I'm waiting for Mr. Boaka on Monday morning to release a press statement or take on the media and call for peace and calm. Because from all indication, you can see that the room is getting toxic. It is very toxic in the room, and the things are no longer in the room. They are coming outside. Mr. Costa, who is a giant in the opposition, collaborating political party, of course, Mr. Costa is a giant. But besides Mr. Costa being a giant, there are other smaller giants. They might not amount to Mr. Costa's size of being a giant, but the giant are in people like Tommy Myers. The giant are in people like Muna Fahad. The giant are in other people, in Mr. Elisha Stowe and the likes of them. If you put Tommy Myers giant to Elisha Stowe to Muna Fahad to all these people, before you know it, things could go out of here because Mr. Costa get huge fans and supporters or followers.
Thank you. Folks, let's do this. The issue that is bringing all the noise is the VPS, voter perception survey. So we did our research, and this is what we gather. According to the VPS, as ANC explained it, it will not be binding. They said it is a scientific tool that discloses voter preferences of the candidates in the CPP so that the information can be used by partisans of the CPP to make decisions, and that the voter perception survey will not be binding. The ANC also said at no time had they kicked against primaries. They said their proposal is similar to a proposal that was made by the Unity Party. Unity Party proposed something they call consensus, where the political leaders of all the political parties were in the arrangement will go in a room, if I can pull it that way, and decide who make up the ticket. And that is similar proposal they are making. Unlike a consensus, they are saying, let's do a voter perception survey so that we know what our voters are thinking. And then we can be guided by that information should we go to primaries. And so for the other people in, like the other parties in the arrangement to be assuming that the ANC is saying that it is the voter perception survey that will decide who becomes the candidate, they said that is completely false. And so there seems to be some misunderstanding here. They also went on by saying that at no time had they had any conversation that the voter perception survey will decide who becomes the candidate for their ticket. And so I just wanted to make that clear so that we can know as we go into this conversation. So let me bring Mr. Cooney in. Mr. Cooney, I would think you're not a friend, you're not a fan of the opposition, especially with the noise. Now you're hearing this. What do you think?
Well, Asani, you know, as a veteran observer of the Liberian political process, I have to be fair to the opposition. The issue of coalition building before election has been a daunting task in Liberian politics. Parties coming together to collaborate prior to elections, to participate in the election as an entity. In our recent political history, we can cite many examples. Before 1985, we can talk about a grand coalition. Those parties were talking about merger before the election. They didn't pull it out. They all got defeated in the elections, and then they formed the coalition after the elections. And then comes the 1997 elections. The same discussion that we have in here were discussions that political parties other than the NPP were having. And it was a difficult task to find a candidate that would represent that. And we know how that process ended. That whole effort fell apart. And so even prior to that, the original grassroots political parties in Liberia, the Liberian People's Party and the United People's Party, they all had that problem. I'm citing all these examples to just say that it is not easy for Liberian politicians to come together and say, okay, look, this is our common good. Let's act on this common good and create this leadership that will pull us together to go forward. And to be honest with you, the only political leader that has been able to do that is George Manawia. This is the first coalition, the Coalition for Democratic Change is the first political coalition that has been formed in Liberia prior to election and then go on to successfully win the election. So I understand the challenges that the CCP may be going through, but the way the discussion is unfolding among...
Mr. Cooney, let me correct that. I think the Unity Party, Lab Loop, they joined when they went as UP, and Madam
Yeah,
Sali,
they joined with Manishaman Party, Kokolioko.
So go ahead. I just want to inject that. Sorry if you lost your train of thoughts.
Oh, well, thank you for that correction. So the only thing I see in that thing is the direction in which the discussion is taken by the top surrogates of the CPP. Like Brother Hassani said, when you are in partnership, when you are in collaboration, you should be very open to ideas that come from the participating parties. So this issue of the VPS is one of the ideas from one of your constituent members. And I was just shocked by the kind of pushback that the idea received. And it's all part of, some of the points we make here. Our level of discourse is so extreme that sometimes even a good idea, is not even given the benefit of the doubt. You understand? And then we try to bury it, and then we're trying to do the accusations here and there. So it's just unfortunate for the opposition political parties. I hope that maybe they can find a way and move forward. If they were to ask me for my opinion, I would tell you that the idea of the VPS is a bad idea. It's a bad idea for two practical political reasons. First thing, it is a system that stands to be manipulated by people who are not in the party. Because the VPS is not only for partisans, the VPS for all voters. So other people on the other side could manipulate the process to create a favorable VPS status for somebody who they perceive to be their favorable candidate. You see how Donald Trump is playing in the Democratic primary. So that one of the drawbacks of that system. Then secondly, it is entirely possible that the VPS could determine one candidate to be more favorable, and then you go to the primary, another candidate is elected. And given our political culture, that would be a situation that may lead to the further weakening of the collaborating political parties. So that would not be something I will advise that go straight into primary. Determine the procedure for primary and let the primary decide who the leaders of the tickets will be. Because of my view of the flaws that is contained in the VPS. It can be easily manipulated, I mean, we're not going to emerge as the VPS candidate, for the CPP, based on how the game is played. So I wouldn't advise that, but I don't think it deserves the kind of pushback and the kind of controversy that is generating among the collaborating political parties. And, it speaks to a much more greater problem. I mean, if collaborating political parties cannot settle on a simple issue like that, then it's making us to wonder, can they actually be the alternative, to take leadership from our country if they can't even agree on a VPS thing, something as common as a VPS?
Thank you. Mr. Ja, let me ask you a question, Mr. Ja. If this VPS thing is not going to be binding and it will not be the framework that decide your candidates, why first of all spend all the money on it just to know what the voter think, and then you give them primary and then they made an ultimate decision? Why are they doing that? Is it not something that will bring chaos?
Well, there are more problems to the VPS, or more problem to the CPP. As Mr. Cooney said, these things have not been holding. Shrek celebrity marriages don't last. So anytime you come together, to go against someone is very difficult in Liberia. One of the criticisms of Mr. Ellis Cummings, the head of the ANC, has been, especially his supporters, has been this idea of elitism. We come from Liberia, we never heard, which is a good thing because of the era of technology, of something called VPS, but all through the election, we've never heard this. I'm not saying you can introduce something new, but it's like you overthinking this thing here. First of all, we don't know who are the voters that are going to participate in this VPS. I'm definitely sure it's not going to be opposition voters alone. So as Mr. Cooney said, the process can be manipulated. Two, these kind of lofty ideas really do not give us the chance to do the basic stuff that will matter and that will count. So I think people are wasting their time on something that wouldn't really matter, but the squabble, as we describe it, speak to a broader problem than VPS. They say if you don't, you know, when husband and wife living in the same house, when they don't like each other, that's the time they start making fuss about, you know, where you hold the toothpaste, or you start from the bottom, or you start. When those kind of things are coming out, it means there is more internal wrangling, more internal troubles than that. But my question to Mr. Zoely, because I watched his live show and he was very forceful on this VBS thing, VPS. And he said, among other things, that even Boakai and Mr. Alexander Cummings combined, they cannot even make it with the popularity of Mr. Henry Costa. So I heard him leaning more towards Mr. Costa and the ANC than Mr. Costa and the ALP than the ANC. So please clarify on your life where you stand on this whole thing and what you're saying tonight.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to do so. So, in Mr. Cummings, Joseph Boakai, they are only popular in Monrovia. The argument of 2017 was Mr. Cummings is not popular at all. He's not known. You cannot make that argument no more, at least not in Montserrado, because Mr. Cummings right now is popular in Montserrado County. But go to the Guinea border and ask a Shunshan man or ask a taxi driver at the Guinea border who is Alexander Cummings. He don't know. When you have done that, go to the Ivory Coast border and ask who is Joseph Boakai. Nobody don't know Joseph Boakai. But George Weah remains popular in the country. Go to Ivory Coast border, ask who is George Weah. They'll tell you George Weah, the football player now, the world best. George Weah is more popular than Joseph Boakai, than Alexander Cummings, than Henry Costa. However, Henry Costa is more popular than Joseph Boakai and Alexander Cummings. So yes, I know sometime in this podcast, the host will ask, what is the way forward? The way forward is, since everybody fighting who is more popular, who's not more popular, let everybody run independent. Everybody run by themselves. If everybody run by themselves, because I tell you what, besides these 4 collaborating political parties, you have additional 20 more. You know, Liberia and Nigeria, the new political parties are formed. Now, when you have 20 more political parties that will come in 2023, plus these 4 collaborating political parties, that everybody split. Everybody attack George Weah. Start fighting each other. UA is a criminal. Cummings is Congressman. Boakai was in government. Stop throwing jabs at each other. Turn your attention and energy to President Weah. Let everybody go independent of President Weah. When they do so, when at least 20 political parties in the race, and everybody go at President Weah to unseat him, guess what will happen? There'll be a second round. Now, in the second round, that's where they can come together with the opposition victory. Then whoever will emerge victorious, the VPN will not be necessary no more. The primary, the consensus, nothing will be important anymore. Now, whoever will come second to George Weah, everybody can just support that person. How about that? How about we do that? But if you say you want to silence Joseph Boakai and put Alexander Cummings on the ticket as opposition, George Weah will be in flat. If you say you want to bring Joseph Boakai as the candidate, let Alexander Cummings silence, George Weah will be in flat. I'm telling you, the whole economic crisis, all these things we are debating and arguing is only in Montserrado. The people in Bogon, they still living a normal life, regardless of your gas shortage in Montserrado. George Weah still remain popular. So let everybody go for George Weah independently, and then in the second round, opposition can choose the candidate that will come close to President Weah. Everybody support that candidate. That's my honest opinion.
Thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is Saturday Special, this time politics, and not just any other politics, but hot one. We have the number right there. We have open the lines. You can place your call to ask your question or make your comment. That number is 605-313-6004. There is a code there you need to enter to be part of the conversation. I know we're focusing more on the ANC proposal. The proposal by the Unity Party too, it said too old school that, hey, you put the 4 guys in the room, you close the room and let them come up with a candidate. What's wrong with that? Undemocratic? Yeah, Mr. Conan.
Yeah, before I answer that question, I want to make a clarification to the correction that Dennis made. I just updated my research on the forming collaborating political parties. I think what What I actually wanted to say is that collaborating political parties coming from the opposition to win election. The only opposition that has been able to do that is the CDC. It is true that the LPP, the LAP joined the UP, but Madam Sally was already the incumbent. We're talking about collaboration in opposition to go against an incumbent. That's where we always had a problem. Once you're president, nobody really have problem joining you. But when you nobody, how do you bring people together? I think that way we always had a problem. But to the question you asked,
Mr. Conan, before you go, I think your research still miss it. Mr. Jad, you want to speak to that?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
All right. Your research still miss it, but let's go on. Conclude because we want to go to our columns.
Putting 4 people in the room and saying that those 4 people among themselves should decide the leadership. I mean, if that is the rule of the collaborating political party, then it is their rule. And then they should be prepared to live by the result. And as much as I find it undemocratic, but if it is the rule that they established to move forward, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it is not a democratic mechanism that 4 people should decide, as to who play a leadership role in an opposition political party. These people, they are potential leaders. Once you're in opposition, you are a potential leader. So I think the determination as to your status in the opposition should start from a democratic basis. But if that's the policy that they put in place, it is their policy, then they should live by the result of that policy. But it is not democratic for 4 people to just go in the room and decide to split positions among themselves.
People dividing oranges. I think that to make the thing simple, let them agree on the primary process, go to the primary, whatever the result becomes, live with it, and go to election. Then all the noise will cease. Mr. John.
Yeah, I think, and Christmas Sailor, you are in the opposition block most of the time, even though you say you CDC, which I don't believe, but that's another topic. But here is my question. Let's speak to a broader problem. I don't think since the formation of the CPP, we have had any document as to what they stand for or how. There's no, I've not read as to what the rules are, how they want to proceed. We've been hearing that those documents are in the pipeline, and time does not wait for anyone. So in the process of still working on these rules, things are happening. And if you come together before you start to decide what you will do, is like that foundational document that tell us what a CPP is about and what it's supposed to do. How there was a problem before the election came out, and all those kind of things. So that problem has not been resolved, and they keep piling on. What's your sense, Mr. Silly?
That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why I take sides with the ANC this time. By the way, I am one of those disenfranchised radical seditionists who wants to see my party do better by saying I want a political party that can really challenge CDC to push CDC to a better CDC, the CDC that we voted for. If you look on my foot today, you see a scar on my foot. I obtained that scar. I live with it the rest of my life. On November 7, 2011, when Madam Sally sent thugs of police who are supposed to protect lives and property, went to CDC headquarters and opened live bullets. That day I was there. That's where I sustained this injury. My struggle with CDC has been since 2005. By then I was only 15 years old. I was not even old enough to vote. So when I tell you I'm a sedition, I just want you to understand that I'm a very radical sedition. I'm not the ordinary sedition who will just pray, sing, worship, and adore. I'm a very radical, sound-mannered, educated sedition who know when to give compliments and when to criticize. However, ANC has been taken advantage of more than once. In the case of, let's look at the case of district number, not district 15, but let's look at Cape May County. ANC candidate was the best suitable candidate. How did I come to that conclusion? They make him second. The opposition candidate, Dabla Vabla, they were making fifth, as them to be corrected. She was not suitable for the job. She was not familiar with the people. ANC candidate was the best suitable candidate. ANC withdrew their candidate. The ANC candidate had to run as independent. ANC withdrew their candidate. So he has to run as independent. So imagine if the forces was going to go behind that candidate. He was definitely going to be, representing the opposition, collaborating political parties. But ANC let us slide. Whenever the opposition brings it to ANC, let it slide. You cannot take advantage of people like that. If people who support Joseph Boyka in the United Party feel that Joseph Boyka popular, let everybody run by themselves then.
But Christmas,
maybe in the second round, we can see whoever come close to Josh, we have to go in the second round. It might be somebody from another political party. All the opposition can rally behind that person. But you cannot take advantage of ANC.
Dennis.
Yeah. Something I want to add for Mr. Zoely to learn is you keep saying they're taking advantage of ANC. Whose fault is that? If you become part of something that got no rules or where the strong survive, and I'm putting it that way just to for the sake of an argument. So whose fault is it? If the rules are not there, what you expect them to play by? So it's like the strong survive.
You are right, Mr. Ja. At the end of the day, there's a saying we get in our Liberian parlance. We say if you cook your saying tomato cup, they will dish you a baboon steak. ANC came to the process nervous. ANC came to the process like, oh my God, we don't know what to do. We need a mentor. So that's why the opposition continued to dictate to ANC. But I tell you what, ANC is not as popular as Joseph Boyka now. Let me make that very clear. I believe Joseph Boyka is popular. But for the sake of the collaboration, for the sake of moving forward, why can't you agree to the voter perception survey, especially where it has no binding? Why can't you simply agree? If the opposition now willing to pay the money, simply tell the Liberian people, okay, fine, we agree to this voter perception survey, but we do not have the $200,000 to hire a private firm to get this thing done. Maybe the Liberian people will raise that money. Maybe Cummins will pledge that money out of his pocket. But at the end of the day, if this is what ANC wants to move forward, make it happen. It's only a voter perception survey. It's not a primary. You're still going to go to the primary. All Cummins is saying, let the voters who will wake up early that money to stand in long lines, let the voter have their say. Let's hire a private firm that will go into communities. Who Cummins know, for example, who Cummins know in district number 2, Grand Jide County? Who know Cummins in district number 2, Grand Jide? Who know Joseph Boyka in district number 5 of River Sales or Bapulu? I would say his ratings are very low. But at the end of the day, for us to coexist as a people, for this collaborating political party to be a very good opposition to President Weah, let ANC slide with this. It's only fair. An attempt for ANC to leave, it will only take away the numbers of the opposition. Okay. An attempt for this collaborating political party to fall apart will be a clear 12 years for President Weah. For me, being a citizen, you can keep President Weah in power 15 years, 20 years, whatever. All I want is to see a very competitive legislature that will hold President Weah accountable. Right now, do you know, because of this whole hala going on in the CPP, right now they don't even know right now their candidates for 2020. And the election is October 8th. Right now, we don't know who the CPP candidate for Bapulu. Right now, we don't know who the CPP candidate for Nima. Because Tai Wengwe from ANC, he wants to run on the CPP ticket. And then Ilef Gongolo from the opposition United Party, she wants to run on the CPP ticket. So because of the whole hala, we don't even know who are the opposition candidates for Cape Mount, for Nimba, for Bapolu, for Rewasef.
All the counties, Chrisman, all the counties.
And got a lot of callers. So let's bring Mr. Kuni in. Mr. Kuni, I think the person to benefit from this is President Weah. Is that his strategy? To just, the more confused the opposition is, they benefit him even?
Yeah.
Well, they got a political theory that when your opponent fighting among themselves, just stay clear of it, let it do their fighting. But the most important point that we alluded to earlier is that this is not just the question over voter perception. This whole unnecessary controversy speak to a larger issue. The opposition, the purpose of the opposition is to create an alternative. And the opposition is very, very loud when it comes to its criticism of the government, undemocratic, bad governance, bad this, bad that. But every step since the CCP came into being is dangerously flawed in terms of democratic precepts. See how they select their candidates. See how the candidate for District 15 was selected. And then the brothers spoke to the issue in Cape Mount and other issues. These are people that are very loud in accusing the current government of all kinds of issues, but they've not even laid the elementary basis for good governance. For me, this is my concern. This is the concern that I have. You have a group of people that are telling us that they will do better for Liberia, but they are unable to even put into place a simple system that will guide their own process. But at the same time, they're telling the Liberian people that they are better suited to solve the problems of the country than the current government. That's for the Liberian people to evaluate and assess. But there's another problem that I quickly want to go to before we move on. You find the ALP leader, you know, who is vigorously against this voter perception because according to him, they cannot outsource the selection or the determination of their leadership to a foreign firm. But he's on record calling on foreigners to come and practically take over our election system. These are the kind of confused minds we're talking about. You know, whether the opposition like it or not, the opposition will win or they will lose an election based on what is in place, based on the institutions of government that is in place. No one is opposed to international assistance. But for anyone to suggest that the only way we can have free and fair election is for the current government to surrender the election commission to some kind of international supervision, all these things are not helpful in our country. They're not helpful in building our institutions. They're not helpful in building democracy.
Thank you.
The CDC contested almost 3 elections with an election commission that was in place by the government. Nobody talking about surrendering the election commission to foreign entity because of fear that this will happen, this will not happen. So we have to really call these people to point out order when they make these kind of what I call feeble minds decisions. You know, these are the thinking of feeble minds.
Thank you. Let me bring in a caller. We have an overseas caller, and Mr. Caller, you are not the first. We just give you that privilege since you are calling from overseas to save your minutes. We don't normally do that. So, caller, your name and where you calling.
Thank you so much. My name is Richard Clinton. I've been watching the show. I want to thank both of you, the host, and the 2 gentlemen on the show.
Richard, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Melbourne, Australia. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, it should be pretty late there. So, your question or comment? Thanks for joining.
No, it's not late. It's only in the afternoon. I say it's in the afternoon, Sunday afternoon, 11:30. Yeah.
Next day. Your question or comment? Let's be brief. We got a lot of callers.
Yeah. So my comment is in regard to the Zoely Zoe, you know, rejection by the Senate, and my question goes to our brother there, Christmas. Christmas, my man, you are a young man. And we all know the statement Zoely Zoe made wasn't right, you know, but he made the statement as a private citizen, you know, and you are one of those advocates on Facebook, the War Crime Code. I don't know where that advocacy is today. And instead of all telling the senator then that the young man, you know, Zoely Zoe made a mistake, you know, and Zoely Zoe apologized during the hearing. But instead, the senator has already made their mind, and you come here today saying that you went from room to room to senator then to listen to the tape to reject the young man. Are you happy if somebody does that to you? Will you be happy? If this is the way forward for Liberia? I don't think so. If somebody made a comment, everybody made a comment. You can apologize and move on. And also coming on to the CPP. The CPP preach, you know, democracy, but they don't live it. We all remember Benina Yuru took his daughter and put the daughter in a campaign and let the Unity Party candidate or Aaron Twe, you know, or Amos Twe out. Is that the way forward? And every day we buy much joy we have, but we don't live up to the same task.
Thank you, Richard.
We got to change. This is 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Christmas, you can respond to that, and then we'll bring in another caller.
Oh, my brother, thank you for that question. The idea that we are all young people, so it's okay for young people to do things that are very unethical, or in other words, that doesn't really make sense, and we should support them anyway just because we are young. I think that we should rethink that concept. Matter of fact, if this world that we live in would be more prosperous, more just, and more free, we, the young people that breeding approved lives on us. So first of all, hold each other accountable. That brother Zoely made that comment before his appointment does not change his mindset. Just the fact that, oh, Zoely, you are nominated as Defense Minister of Operation doesn't change his perception. That mindset is still there. Furthermore, Zoely lied under oath. Lying under oath is perjury. Perjury is a crime. The Senate put Zoely under oath. Zoely, that you made this statement, that you actually made this statement. Zoely lied 3 consecutive times that he did not make the statement. Until one of the senators from Grand Crew had to tell him, man, listen, I listened to the video. You made the statement. You should be here apologizing and not to justify. You actually made the statement because I watched the video. You know why how he watched the video? Because I showed it to him. I went from office to office. So Zoely being denied had little to nothing to do with me. Zoely lied under oath. That senator was ready to vote for him if he was going to own up to his statement and apologize right there and then. But he lied under oath until the senator literally begged him
to
apologize.
Thank you. Mr. Jai, we have this one.
Go ahead, caller, you're live.
Thank you, Mr. Jai, and thank you, my brother Sonny, and to the panelists. My name is Anthony Gay. I'm calling from the city of Philadelphia, and I want to make two points here. One is on the Zoely Zoe thing. Look, if even I was the hiring manager, I would not hire Zoely Zoe because ethical principle matter in everything we do. Whether I work outside of our home, you must always conduct yourself in a very civilized way. Decency, the word civilized means a common decency of a mankind. You must always exhibit decency. Simple as that. Simple put. What are you going for confirmation on that? Be decent. Somebody say, oh, on my own Facebook page, I can post whatever I want. That's true. Post whatever you want. You will also own up to whatever you post. So let me make progress here. I want to speak on the VPS circumstances. I'm a member of ANC and also a chapter chairman here in the Delaware Valley. But I want to say this. When you come into an agreement with a group, it's no longer you or it's no longer that entity you come with. You have to consider everyone within that entity. So most of us in the ANC, this goes to us. Be tolerant, be considerate if other people raise concerns of this proposal, this VPS, the voter perception survey. We should be in the business of clarifying things, explaining it better in the simplest form that someone can make a rational decision as to whether they should accept it or not. I am not in favor of consensus. The consensus does not reflect my view. I should have a say. 4 people cannot decide my fate. So the voter consensus among the political leader, I just think is very undemocratic. We must promote democracy at all levels in our country.
Thank you.
And so the voter perception, survey, in my opinion, should be properly communicated to the people. And one point that Mr. John made is very, straightforward to the point that they got into a collaboration without any agreement, written documentation, binding. Look, we are under this thing because of X, Y, and Z, and based on X, Y, and Z, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. You come to that agreement first. Then all the other suggestions can come about. You can move into an apartment with a roommate. You don't have no ground rules, nothing. You move in, you pay the security deposit, you start living. The man will bring a friend over to spend the night. He said, no, you can't bring a friend over. Why? because you know you want to share a room with me. We need to agree on this.
Okay.
So I just think that they need to go back on the drawing board, put a framework together in the first place. And I just think it's too early to even start speaking on standard bearership for 2023. It is just too early. Why? Because
thank you.
The election is way 4 years ago. 4 years from now, I'm sorry. So that's the point I really want to make.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Since you are ANC local chair, we want to have the opportunity for ANC people to come on the platform and explain these things. You made a very important point that the VPA probably was not communicated and explained. Instead, when people went against it, ANC people pick up their cutlasses and their motor pencil to fight.
I know, man. I don't feel comfortable, seeing my other peers, responding to people that way.
Yeah.
Look, I saw a post today, and I didn't like that post. Talking about ALP is irrelevant. They have 1.6%. Even if they have -2%, you agree to join with them. Their view matters. Even if they have 1% or 50% of the vote in Liberia, their view matters. It's one of them. View matters. You should always value their view. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's bring in Aliu before we go to our panelists.
Okay. It looked, it looked like because I'm on the line now, I would just have to contribute. But people have said it all. By the time I got a lot of Dennis went into my head. The first point he made was something I was about to talk about. And then the guy in studio, Connie, is that how you call him?
Yeah, Connie.
He said it all. He pretty much said it all. There were two questions before I invited the ANC people. There were two questions I asked to my beginning of Zoely. He did not answer these two questions. I will help him. I will answer one of the questions for him, and the second one I will allow himself to answer that one. The guy asking about the war crime thing, he used to be all over the place yelling about. The guy said, "What's wrong with the war crime thing?" Let me answer the guy. My biggest Zoely now is currently married to Prince Johnson's daughter. So Zoely is aware that with war crime, if I is going to jail, he'll be the very first person that goes to jail. So Zoely has to be man. He can't do war crime quick again. Man, I put war crime quick aside. The other question then I kept asking Zoely, and Zoely not answer that they think about Henry Costa. How Henry Costa come to play when they're talking about 4 political party people? How Henry Costa getting the whole thing about his popularity? That the protests and stuff that Henry Costa running around with now that you want to nominate Henry Costa to be president? I'll talk it that way. And then let me just say that before you answer my question, let me say that to everybody that's supporting the ANC, that they guy who J. King on Jenna, they got made some very good points. And just the point that he raised, points that he raised are the reasons why we will make sure that Alexander Comey will not be president of Liberia unless Alexander Comey go around and clean the people that are around him. Alexander Comey got a lot of amateurs he find as surrogates or some kind of people that are supposed to be, propagating his message, which there is none anyways. And so if Alexander Comey is serious to be president of Liberia, he got to get rid of the lot of false information dissemination among his people. You listen to some of their personal stories about the war and yada, yada, yada. It's all lies. And if anybody dare say something against Alexander Comey, look, Alexander Comey is in the spotlight. He put himself in this position. People will criticize him. If anybody dare say something about Alexander Comey, Alexander Comey people, especially the social media group, they go all out challenging people, credentials, challenging people, ability to think. They are very, very condescending kind of people. And we will make sure that Alexander Comey, unless he clean around himself, we'll make sure he doesn't become president. But let me make this last thing.
Make that last one.
Joseph Boakai. Okay, Joseph Boakai is the most popular person, and Mr. Yuri did not make any mistake. Joseph Boakai is the only person that can possibly beat Judge Weah if this group put themselves together, which they have it. People talking about primary when you're not together. You don't have any document that binds you. You have no agenda, nothing. So to call up Madam Shaw Christmas, the two things there, I answer one for you. Let know what can bring a whole Henry Costa in the picture. I want to know, and I in the photo again. Thank you, my man.
Thank you. Let me bring in one more caller before we go to our panelists. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
John. This is Christopher to Boxy.
Christopher, you've been posting all to us. So what you got to say today?
Yeah, Mr. John, I want to say thank you. Mr. Jai, people, senators who are denigrated, desecrated, encourage rape, encourage abuse under their watch as rebel generals and rebel leaders. Mr. Jai, without any evidence, without any empirical evidence for Dr. or for Senator Peter S. Coleman to diagnose a decorated soldier, a veteran, Honorable Tapla Davis, just because of a hearsay, of a hearsay. It was distasteful, it was dangerous, it was vicious. Mr. Jai, it was mean-spirited. And I stand by my word. I said the senators lied to us when they did not listen to the tape. They did not listen to the tape. As an investigator, I would have asked my fellow senators to play or to listen to the tape on that day of confirmation so that they can get a clear view of what Honorable Zoely Zoe said.
Okay.
What Honorable Zoely Zoe said, I myself can do the same thing. He said if people send people to loot, he said a man, Henry Costa, who said that he will drag the president's body. He said that he will burn the airport down. Henry Costa, who said he will put people in the street to loot people's property in Monrovia. If any of these looters come to my house, this is what I'm going to do. And he's right. He's within the confines of the law. If anybody comes to your house to rape your family, to kill your family, to loot your property, yes, you can defend yourself, and yes, you can kill them. So for people like Christmas Salad and sitting over there tonight, yesterday, some of us were defending Christmas Salad when he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. The video was up. Christmas Salad, a man like Christmas Salad, who yesterday people was accusing of being somebody who has post-traumatic distress or disorder. Somebody who has ADHD. And we defended Christmas. For Christmas to be disloyal to his brother in arms. For Christmas to sit here. And because of jealousy, you are tearing and beating down Zoely Zoe. You are destroying and not looking at the brother intellect.
Thank you.
Not even looking at his CV. Not even looking at his background, his credentials.
Conclude, Christopher.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in
Christopher.
us as a community, in us as a people.
Thank you.
And I hope that Christmas Salad will find place in his heart to ask for forgiveness one day from Brother Zoely Zoe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Christmas Salad, please mark that down. Let me bring in one more caller and then we come to you guys. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Ben and I'm calling from Minnesota. How are you?
Benjamin, I'm great. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comments?
Yeah, I have few comments. One has to do with the issue about Zoely Zoe and the PTSD. I think that the doctor who made those statements, he was ill-informed to have made such statement. And here is the reason. People think of PTSD as some kind of a horrible thing that you are going to death. People are so crazy. And what really hurt me is for a doctor to have made that kind of a statement. PTSD is just like you having diabetes. If you do not take your medication, you will malfunction. So please, people should know that people who have PTSD, it can be controlled. That's not a death sentence. So the doctor was so ill-informed when he even said that. But first of all, let's come to this issue about Costa argument. Costa argument does not hold no water about who is popular or who is not popular, because Costa ran in an election in which he lost. Can he say now if he ran this in that same district that he was still lost? If that is his logic, and the answer is no. And with regards to with regards to Cummings, Cummings is also playing a game. It is not only those other guys. Cummings' game that he is playing is a smart game. Since the election, Cummings is the only candidate that went into into most of the counties. So if they do that survey, Cummings will win, and that's the reason why Cummings wants them to have that. With regards to these other guys who just think Liberia is Monrovia, they do not want to have that survey because the survey is going to expose them because they sit in Monrovia and do nothing, and Cummings is going around the various counties trying to build up momentum. And that is the reason why they are refusing to go through that survey, even though the survey is not going to be used as the measure. It will still inform people. So that's the game that the common people themselves are also playing. And with regards to the CPP, the CPP itself, it is illegal. That entire entity. According to the election laws, they do not have no certificate to operate. Go on the net website and then see how such organizations should be governed. They do not have no certificate. They are illegal. What they are doing, it is not even right. But I don't have much time, for now, so I will start it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cooney, you go first, and then Zoely will come.
Well, Dennis, I continue to argue that for me, I like to argue on the broader scale. For almost 2 years, we've watched opposition elements bash this government for incompetence, for inefficiency, for all sort of things for the last 2 years. And there are elements of the opposition that feel that Liberia should have been transformed to Sweden by the president within 2 years. Yet and still, these are our most educated, the so-called most educated, the so-called elite. They cannot even put a document together that will guard their association. And these guys are telling us that they are better suited to run the country. And Liberians are watching. If for 2 years, you cannot even come up with an operating agreement to form the basis of your association, and you are very much loudmouth accusing the government of the day, the president, of not fulfilling his electoral mandate in a complex situation that he inherited. The Liberian people are watching these things. We are no longer fools, and nobody will bring that arrogance of the elite to impose it on us anymore. So all of these things are, for me, a symptoms of a much more broader problem. Broader problem. It's not just about this VPS thing. This is the cream, the so-called cream of the crop. These are the intelligentsia that hold the solution to all of our problems. But for 2 years, they can't even solve, an article of association for their own convenience and for their own work. And they are jumping from one undemocratic mode to the other. The Liberian people are watching this situation, and people continue to speak also on this popularity of Henry Costa that is not even supported by any evidence. For example, Monserrado, which is the operating base of Mr. Costa, Monserrado County has 17 electoral districts. On the average, each of those districts has about 45,000 registered voters. All of the protests that Mr. Henry Costa has led, if you want to be very generous, in the first protest, maybe you can give him 8,000 people that attended that protest. If you want to be generous in the second protest, you can even give him 5,000. The point I'm making is the supporter, this brother has not been able to muster a number of supporters that is even equivalent to one electoral district in Monserrado County. And this is the man, every time he stand there and calling for the resignation, the stepping down of the president, and some Liberians are buying that kind of coup aid. Do you know what it takes for an elected president to come down by popular uprising? You think it takes the marching of 5,000 people? 7,000 people. You're talking about a mass popular uprising throughout the country. So there's myth about Costa's popularity. It's just some Kool-Aid that other people drinking. This man has not mustered one electoral district in Mozzarella County. No demonstration that has even exceeded 10,000 people. So I don't know what the basis they're using for his popularity. Is it the loud mouth on radio, the bombacity, the incendiary speeches, rhetoric that he gave on radio, and which people are now holding him accountable because some Liberian, most Liberians feel he should not be held accountable, but we should hold a young Liberian accountable for what he posts, but other Liberians should be exempted from what we post. This is the duplicity of our national character that I'm talking about. And until we can take actions on all of these things, all of the celebrations for the brothers' rejection and other things, they are all driven by self-serving interest, not by national interest.
Thank you.
Because how can you offend to one form of speech, but you leave other terroristic speeches where people are calling for the outright murder of the president of the Republic of Liberia? You say that is free speech, but other people should be denied free speech. So today, the brother is denied his position because of free speech. My concern is, let us be careful how we use this free speech when it is applied in other areas. When we are holding other people accountable for the same free speech, we must be consistent in its application. That's the point I have to make.
Thank you there, Mr. Conan. Chrismon, let me bring this caller in and then we'll get you to respond. Caller, your name and where you're joining us from. Quickly to the issue. Caller, are you there? Mr. Steve Bole? Mr. Bole, are you there?
Yeah, hello?
All right, yeah,
yes,
go ahead. Yeah, you are loud and clear now.
Yes. Yes, good afternoon. This is Steve from Phoenix, Arizona. I'd like to start off this conversation as usual by reminding the Liberian people that they're the most important people that will not change as a fact, and also to reassure the Liberian women that they're the most beautiful women on earth. That's another fact, and Mr. Conan over there can attest to it. That's the truth. Mr. Saleh also can do the same. I joined your conversation just to add my voice to many voices to say, in the first place, I want to condemn, or to, let me not use the word condemn, but I want to clarify something that two callers say about the Dr. Coleman, about his views and about what he said from a clinical standpoint. Most of the times we receive referrals from doctors, medical doctors, especially when it comes to some psychological issues. Then we work on these patients or these clients or whatever you might call them. And so I will not sit here today and say, because the doctor said that, so the doctor does not know what he was saying or he doesn't know what he was doing. No, that's not true. You don't understand the implication of what the doctor said and what he meant. Maybe that's why you are saying that. But the doctor was right on spot. Let me get to this whole Zoely Zoe issue. Apart from Zoely Zoe credential, if you want to break down Zoely Zoe credential, I feel like people jumping around and talking about, oh, Zoely Zoe got this credential, and if you look at the main credential and this and that. Let me just be very frank with you. First of all, if I were on that panel list that day as one of the senators, I would have voted against Zoely Zoe. First of all, he does not meet the qualification for that position at that level. Educationally, he does not. This thing about Liberian people in book business, we misplace people in positions. Sometimes that's why they behave the way they behave. Somebody go study about airplane. Then you come and make them Minister of Finance. That doesn't make any sense. That's misplacement. So Zoely Zoe has no administrative experience in the army. He did not serve at that level. I don't think he was qualified for that. His time in the army. And I also think I will agree with Christmas Saleh that Zoely Zoe lied on or oath. And here is the third thing that I would say Zoely Zoe was not qualified for that job. And it's not up until now. Zoely Zoe came in very, very defiant, acting as though the senators, I look at the video and I'm on record of writing that day when Zoely Zoe's stuff was going on. I said Zoely Zoe is shooting himself in the foot for his behavior from the way he's acting. He acted very arrogant. He acted as though he already got this. I don't know who pumped him up or who thought he was just going to walk in and have a free pass. Look, the truth about it is, let's be realistic. Zoely Zoe did not show up. All the big money he's been making on Facebook and talking too much, I did not see Zoely Zoe even making the case for that position. Let's come to this issue of the VPS or whatever it be. Let me say this. I'm a member of the ANC, and I don't shy away from it. I support the ANC. I support Mr. Alexander Cummings for presidency of Liberia. But this is what I don't support. I don't support disrespect. I don't support rudeness. I don't support the thing that I see Liberian people doing. I don't normally do that because we must stand for the truth. I think members of the ANC, the way they acted that day, especially prominent members, when Mr. Benena Yure spoke, I think it was disrespectful. They shouldn't have written to say Mr. Benena Yure is not this, it's not relevant, it's not that. I stand with that. I think it was wrong. Let me be very clear on it. It was wrong. Muna Fahar and Ta Wongwe, none of them should have written what they wrote and saying he should behave. No, we don't act like that. We are in a collaboration. Mr. Benena Yure brings something to the table. Mr. Joseph Boakai brings, so everybody in that collaboration brings something to the table, and so we must respect these people. They are our leader. It has to start from here. All of us got to do this. Another part I want to say about the Henry Costa issue. Henry Costa is not part of the leader of the COP. He needed to chill, shut up, and leave this thing. That's not his business. He needed to say nothing about the VPS thing. He needed to just go and mind his business and focus on the COP. I don't care his supporter and what they want to say to me. That's their business. But here's the fact. The fact of the matter is we cannot be fighting among ourselves. We cannot be fighting among ourselves. I also want to agree with Mr. Coney when he said that this issue of popularity, the data has not shown that Henry Costa is popular. Maybe he's popular on Facebook. He is not popular when it comes to the voting population. He does not have the influence. And I can go back from 2017 up until today to prove it to whoever wants to come with the facts. All the people in Henry Costa are supported, apart from Dallas Dillon, which almost everybody in the opposition supported, and some members of the CDC. That the only person that won that Henry Costa supported, the rest of the people Henry Costa supported from the elections up until today, none of them has won. So that tells me that his popularity does not translate into numbers. We are talking about numbers when it comes in the context of voting. Let's be very frank here. We must learn how to respect our leaders. And I will say to those who are in the opposition, let us allow these leaders to make the decision about this whole VPS and who will be the standard bearer, whatever it is. Let's leave the small noise and let's stay focused. Let's leave this distraction. Let's stay focused. We got 2020 coming up. CDC is gearing up for the election. We need to put ourselves together and work together. All this tearing around, fighting and misbehaving, and people coming and disrespecting people is not necessary. That being said, I want to give thanks to Focus on Liberia for always affording us the opportunity to have some of these civil conversations where we can say the facts and air out the truth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bode, right there. We will be going to our panelists. Before we do, let me read a few comments. We done. Austin Sabo, can you pin the number? Mr. Sabo, the number has been pinned. Rose Talo, you are a real gentleman and a real politician, sir. Thank you. I don't know who she's referring to there. Musu Stewart, it's different when you are seeking public office. You are directly under the radar. Jion Baga, sorry if I'm pronouncing that. Costa is GoFundMe hero. Another one, Tobase, thank you plenty, Honorable Kuni. And let's see this one. The old man is very, no, I don't read comments that you insult people. The words that cannot be digested cannot be used here. Color close your, no. We don't read those kind of comments. You come here, you have to be, you got to be very, very respectful. Liberians, let's learn to respect each other. This one by Jaliba, who told you, Color, you should have degrees in military science before you serve at the position of Deputy Minister for Operation at the Ministry of Defense. Asking a question right there. Mr. Jai, just a few comments. Gentlemen, time is fast spent. We still have some call-outs. And so for you, our panelists, this is what we're going to do. Also, one of the things we had here to discuss was a letter that been going around that seems to have come from the office of CDC Chairman Momba Molu. We made all efforts to see whether that letter is legitimate. And up to now, we have not been able to confirm it. We're hoping that we have gotten confirmation so as it to form part of this discussion. We can confirm it, and here I focus on Liberia. We are about the truth, so we don't want to discuss something that we cannot independently confirm. So we will leave that for today. If at some time tomorrow we get the confirmation, we guarantee you we will find time to have that conversation. Mr. Zoely, we have you for about 2 hours now.
There was some serious allegation by Mr. Tobasi against Christmas that he want to respond to first.
Yes. Go ahead.
He defended Christmas when he was accused as a child molester and other things. And I saw him cringe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jha, for the opportunity to speak about that. For those people who know me from the Facebook land, know that Christmas City, first of all, I don't do girls, I do women. There was a video circulating sometimes in 2018 when I was going to Liberia to marry my beautiful wife. At the time in 2018, I was 28 years old. However, that video was recorded in 2014. By then I was only 24 years old. The lady who's in that video, she was 42 years old. I do not do girls. I mess with women. So there has been absolutely no allegation about Christmas and girls. Because people who know me watching, I do not talk to girls. The only girl I've ever talked to for the first time in my lifetime was the woman I married. My wife is 28 years old and I'm 29 years old. That's the only girl who drives me. She's a girl in age on the calendar, but she's a woman at heart and in her brain. Now, let's get to other issue where the brother talk about PTSD and me being jealous and envious of Zoely Zoe. I understand where that argument comes from, that somehow if you try to hold a fellow young man accountable, then somehow you're jealous. But at the end of the day, I would never be cowered into submission to say that I will not call you out when you do something wrong or hold you accountable simply because you are young. Matter of fact, being young means you should be able to think well, talk well, express yourself without using profanity or vulgarity. We all fall short of that sometimes, I know. But in a setting like this, where I have in my presence Mr. Jha, Mr. Kuni, Mr. Sie, of course, there is a way you conduct yourself. Now, let's talk about the brother that said, Mr. Jha talk about, Mr. Jha was saying you or somebody talk about Mr. Henry Costa. Why did I talk about Mr. Henry Costa on my podcast? Now, ANC Liberia does a very good job. It is ANC USA who always feel the need to attack Mr. Costa. And whether we agree or not, is written on the walls and the picture is clear. Mr. Costa have the largest Facebook platform. And today in 2020, the easiest way, the fastest way, and the most effective way to communicate is through the social media. And Mr. Costa, when it comes to Liberia, he controls the narrative on social media. And then I would like to address Mr. Kuni when he said, for the record, Costa is not popular. There is no statistics to show. I would like to disagree with Mr. Kuni on that because Costa is awful popular compared to the person who won him in the elections. Now, mind you, the reason why some of us seditious at the time went vigorously against Mr. Costa because by that time, Mr. George Weah was the thing. Nobody could talk against George Weah and survive. Mr. Costa felt the full weight of the young people of Liberia when he attacked President Weah, at that time Ambassador Weah, during the presidency. So he felt the full weight of the Liberian people. I believe if Henry Costa should go back to elections today, the result will be different. And then Mr. Kinney talked about Henry Costa putting people in the street, and the first time it was 8,000. No. Credible international media suggested it was over 20,000 people who was in the street June 7th. I stand to be corrected. Credible people like Al Jazeera and CNN and BBC estimated that over 20,000 people was in the street. Look at Henry Costa's popularity, compare it to what he did when he sat down in his Delaware home on the radio and put people in the street from the radio to go Operation Free Justina Taylor and see how many people responded in a heartbeat. The brother is popular. That's not up for a debate. I will not venture into that. And So just so Mr. Kuni know that the comment that Brother Henry Costa has made about burning down the airport, about dragging the president, if Henry Costa today sit in the chair of confirmation, of course, we will launch our campaign. We will petition our senators. Henry Costa does not have the temperament to be anywhere in the Department of Justice or anywhere in the Department of Defense. We will launch that campaign. So while we say we're not talking about Henry Costa, Henry Costa does not need consensus. He does not need voting. He does not need anything to say, oh, what can we do to take Costa off the air? What can we do to appeal to Facebook to shut Costa Facebook podcast down? That is beyond our reach. But as conscious gentlemen, an attempt for Brother Costa to be maybe nominated in the next government, somewhere in the justice ministry, or somewhere in the defense ministry, even in the information ministry, will not agree. We will raise contention and we will hold Brother Costa accountable for some of the things he has said, like we did Brother Zoely Zoe. So this is no wish hunt. This has nothing to do with any jealousy. We young people, we have to hold each other accountable. This is the only way that we'll have conversations like this to present the facts and have a more clean conversation, free of insults, vulgarity, and profanity, and bullying. Address the issue and stick to the issue.
Thank you. Christmas, Aliu, one of our callers, raised something that you are married to Prince Johnson's daughter. That's what he said. And that is why the whole war crime code thing, you almost like playing lukewarm on it. You want to respond to that?
He's wrong. First of all, I don't know where Mark Jabate take that thing from, that I married to Prince Johnson's daughter. Just because my wife is from Nima County doesn't mean she's Prince Johnson's daughter. My wife is from Nima and Sierra Leone. My wife's mother is from Sierra Leone. Her father is from Nima. So that doesn't make her Prince Johnson's daughter. Not everybody from Nima County are Prince Johnson's children. So I don't know where Mark Jabate take that propaganda from. However, I still remain an advocate of war crimes court, that justice is the way forward for Liberia.
Christmas Sellers.
You met Prince Johnson. You didn't raise that issue.
Of course I did. I did, and Prince Johnson brought me, I think I did a live video. Prince Johnson brought me tons of books. I read the TRC recommendation. In the TRC recommendation, that's a whole controversy for another day, because I saw at least, on the minimum, I saw at least 2 contradictions in the TRC report, in the TRC recommendation. What are some of the contradictions?
Mr. Ja, let us now open another topic. Christmas, I don't mean to stop you. Let us now go there. We have spent over 2 hours, which is too much. And so we have to conclude. Folks in cyberspace, those of you who have been with us, we want to say thank you for being here.
Let me give my callers 1 minute each. We
have 2 callers. All right, Mr. Ja.
Yeah, let me start with Cyrus. Cyrus.
Yeah, this is Cyrus calling from Minneapolis.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Question or comment? Let's be brief.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on this whole issue. You see, the problem with I think this whole issue about primary and voter survey is more of an ego issue than fact-based. Because the voter perception survey is like a new model that every country is adopting. We saw it in Nigeria. We saw it in Singapore. Today, there was a guy that called me, a physician that called me. I told him something, he was shocked. I said, do you know in America, when you look at the electoral college system, it's more of a voter perception survey? He's like, what do you mean? I said, yes. In America, when we go to elections in November, you are not picking the president, you are picking the electors. The main election of America happens on the 20th of January when the electors representing the congressional district in all the states, when they meet on the floor of the Senate to vote. But do you know how they vote? They vote based on how you cast your ballot in November of that year. So technically speaking, the electors are delegates that represent the will of the people. So when you cast your ballot on November 4th, you wasn't voting for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You were voting for electors in your state that would then go on January 20th to cast ballot for the president of the United States. So what beat my imagination in the whole idea is a primary system or convention, the delegates are unbound, meaning they can vote for anybody. It's not a fair system. So if you want transparency, if you want accountability, if you want for the people to have a say in the process, it means the VPS is the most perfect system. Nobody get an unfair advantage in the VPS system. Everybody starts on an equal playing field. So how can you be opposed to something that is fair to everybody?
Right.
And then I gave you another case study. I said in Nigeria. Let me just conclude with this point. I say another
case study.
Hello?
Yeah, the VPS, I believe if it is explained, people will understand it. So go to another issue if you have for the next few seconds.
Yeah, no, I just want to give another case study, but with the same VPS because I have a topic that interests me the most. I just want to throw light on it.
Okay, go ahead, conclude.
All right, but that's okay. I mean, let me just say, I mean, it's okay for now. I mean, somebody can come in.
Thank you, Cyrus. Let me get Kesely, who will be our last caller for the night. Mr. Kesely.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, good evening, Mr. Jar. And CA, and good evening to your panelists. I want to talk on the Zoely Zoe issue. Mr. Jar, if you can remember, we had a show even before Zoely Zoe confirmation. I am one of those who kept saying every time and again that Zoely Zoe will be rejected. In this modern world, right in this country where you and I are, Mr. Jar, they use your Facebook profile just for posting things that you post on your Facebook profile. So use it as a means of, investigating you. So you don't even get a job for it.
Right.
So for us to come on and say that the remarks that Zoely Zoe made on Facebook was something to now hold against him in the terms of confirmation, I'm taken aback when I hear people saying that. Let me agree today with Mr. Coney when he said that the way in which Zoely Zoe was questioned on remarks that he made on his Facebook profile or on his Facebook page, he hoped it should be used against other people. I agree with that. I just hope that I shouldn't end with Zoely Zoe alone.
Yeah.
But instead, it should be used on every public official who will be vying for public offices tomorrow. We should question them based on what they've said on their Facebook pages. That's why I say to every young person for now who will be speaking on Facebook to be careful as to what you say, because we are here, we are collecting all of those videos. We will keep them, all of the posts, all of the threatening posts that they are posting on social media, we're going to keep them for tomorrow, so that when the time comes tomorrow, we can use these things to be able to vet them to our various public offices. Mr. John, what people say, what you write is from your heart. What you write is from your heart. Zoely Zoe did not say those things because he just said that thing. He said them from his heart. Every time Zoely Zoe said, he said, I will defend my good brother. I am willing to die for my good brother. He did not say for the Liberian people.
Right.
So the Senate was right for using that against him.
Right.
And I hope that it can be used against every other young man who will just come on social media and just say things and think they will go free with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And not only those vying for position, but also those who are already in position. So if you are making regular statement, you should be
exactly
to be accountable. Thank you so much. Let me go to Mr.
Exactly. I agree with that.
So we can conclude this.
All right. Mr. Conan.
Oh, yeah, Richmond. I thought.
Yeah, we are back with you, and this time for your concluded statement.
You complaining again, Mr. Conan, that you don't have time?
Yeah.
No. The discussion is good, and I mean we appreciate the different viewpoints, and we appreciate the callers for also sharing their views. As I indicated from the beginning of the show, we have a responsibility to transform our democracy to a much more qualitative level where we can really, truly hold people accountable for what they say, for what they do, for their actions, for pledges and commitments that they made to the people. So as a general proposition, I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to just issue a few clarification to my brother here and some of the things that he said, trying to rebut one or two points I made about Costa's popularity. I mean, he pretty much confirmed what I said. I said Montserrado County, on the average, you got 45,000 voters in each district. None of the demonstrations hosted by this brother had generated that amount of people. So there is a question about his popularity. So even if Al Jazeera gave him 20%, he still fall far below the threshold of one electoral district. I also want to kind of a little bit disagree with him when he says we should wait for Costa until Costa is nominated to a position. That's not the way we hold people accountable. We hold people accountable for what they say, what they do at all times. Our association is also a way of holding people accountable. If we continue to associate with someone who is bombastic and making incendiary statement of dragging our president in the street, then it also reflect our mindset. We can't wait and say, okay, I mean, he can get away with all these, according to my brother here, these terroristic threats because he's not being sent to the Senate for confirmation. At least we should have the courage to condemn that behavior. I want to see people in the opposition political parties condemning those kind of languages. Because I don't want a situation in Liberia where a President Cummings or a President Waka or a President Ure, anybody would be talking about dragging them in the street. That is unacceptable. And this is where we show courage. So overall, we have to work each and every day to improve our democracy, to improve the governance system. The collaborating political parties, they say pretty much one thing, and some of the things and most of the things that they should do, their actions don't match their condemnation of the government. They don't match the condemnation of the president, despite all of the challenges in Liberia, and there are challenges in Liberia. We do admit that. We're not blind. We see some of the difficulties. The government itself sees some of the difficulties in the country. But the government is making its best effort to address the issues. We are happy that there is some solutions now to the gasoline issue. We are very much excited that the president has returned to some important element of the Pro agenda, road construction. We are very much excited that, you know, bar road medicine has now emerged.
What?
You know, pretty soon the Liberian people will benefit from road connectivity.
Mr. Kunu, you said something. How you call the president?
The president is now, I mean, the Liberian people has named the president bar road medicine. and to be honest with you, for me, it doesn't matter. And the
Mr. Kunu, hold on, let me hold you, because I come from Dudwiken, where we walk 8 hours before we get to the car road.
So I know you come from Dudwiken, brother Ja, yeah. But the president has reclaimed that mantle of bar road medicine. And for me, it doesn't matter who idea started this, all those things that they crab Liberian discussion. You know, right now we want all of the plans from early, whether in some drawer, whether in some cabinet, wherever they have those plans, the bar road medicine need those plans so that we can apply the medicine to those roads, because our people been suffering for too long. You know, our people been suffering for too long. The Monrovia cartel has used roads to keep our people congested in Monrovia. So we need to break that cartel apart. People want to return to the regions of the country they come from. I saw this beautiful piece of road that is between Plebo, Harper. You know, somebody posted that on Facebook. I was really tempted to go buy a piece of land and put my house right by that road.
You can do that if you want.
I don't care whether it is started by Madame Salif. I don't care whether it's completed by Wea, but these are the things that Liberian people need. So all these useless arguments as to, oh, they plan what there, this and that. Hey, some of you do practically build a national bank building. You know, the structure was there. Madame Salif can't complete it. You know, the people say that Madame Salif project. Do I care? We have a modern central bank building. So, you know, we Liberians, we should stop this crab mentality. I don't have to tear you down to emerge. I don't have to walk on your dead body to be human body, to be human being. So I really want to, I'm deeply touched by what is happening in the country. The barrow medicine need to go all over. I want the barrow medicine to go to Lofa. I want a barrow medicine to go to Bong. I want a barrow medicine to go to Bummy. I want a barrow medicine to go to Sino, to go to Dudwick, where Brother Jack come from. I want our barrow medicine to go all over the country because we really need that medicine. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Coonan there celebrating. I don't know why he calls barrow medicine. The last time I heard something called Costa Row, I don't hear that news anymore. He's celebrating. He's celebrating before the game is even over. Mr. Cellular, come to you. Fellow panelists celebrating there. I don't know how you feel. Let's close.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Sie, Mr. Ja. Thank you, Mr. Cooney, for the privilege of having to share this stage, this platform with you. You know, in my conclusion, I want to suggest to the Liberian people that there are 3 people you should take seriously in your whole life. Children. When children tell you anything, take it seriously. Children do not think twice before they talk. Children will tell you exactly what's on their heart or on their minds before they talk. Children do not think twice. The second person I suggest that you take seriously in your whole life, take people who are in alcohol. When somebody is drunk and they tell you anything, the drunk man does not think 2 times before he talk. The drunk man will tell you anything that on his heart, exactly how he feels. I want to suggest that the third person you should take seriously in your whole life. Take seriously people who are angry. I suggest that you take Zoely Zoe seriously. He's just one angry man. Grounds of his anger, because he's cruel and he's sedition more than President Weah himself, who funded CDC. I want to compliment the President of Liberia for the initiative of this road that will begin soon, from our IA to EADBA. This road is important because, Mr. Moderator, I tell you, there are a lot of people who have lost their lives on that road, either due to the darkest night or due to the narrowness of the road. A lot of children who've been walking to school when car either brakes gave up or car accident, children have lost their lives. This new road will make the community more safe for our children to go to school and make it more safe for both drivers and passengers. On that, I want to congratulate the President of Liberia. I want to say, Mr. President, keep your head up. Hopefully, as the Liberian people are very enthusiastic and very positive about this project, I hope that you can meet their aspirations and complete this road. And let God bless Liberia and save the state. Finally, I want to suggest to the Liberian people that the North Star for Liberia, the man who have set the new standard for public servant, Darius DeLong. Let God bless Darius DeLong. Darius DeLong is the North Star. Darius DeLong is the freedom road. The freedom road for us to have politicians in Liberia who understand what it means to be a public servant. A public servant is somebody who serves at the pleasure of the people. Whatever the aspiration of the people is your utmost concern. That's the standard Darius DeLong have set. He's not bigger than the poor. He's not more famous or more popular than the aspiration of the people. Let God bless Darius DeLong. We all should come together and support Darius DeLong 2020 senatorial bid. Anybody who attempt to run against Darius DeLong, that person is not in the interest of Liberia, because Darius DeLong is doing everything that we want in our public servants. So anybody who say you want to run against Darius DeLong, you are not in the interest of Liberia. Mr. Host, Mr. Co-host, thank you for having me. My name is Christmas Saley. I'm a U.S. Marine veteran. I'm an advocate of the oppressed. I'm a defender of the peace. I'm a promise, unwavering, undamned, unequal. Thank you.
And
Liberian.
If you can bring up Mr. Darius DeLong to appear and focus on Liberia, so that we can ask him those questions as to see the way you describe him right now, to see whether he really is who you say he is.
Mr. Host, well, we can make that happen. We can definitely make that happen.
Mr. C, let's close this.
All right, folks in cyberspace, this is how we will come to the end of our broadcast. We want to say thank you for forming your evening with us. We enjoy what you do by being part of the conversation As we always say here, we educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. Share our show always. And don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is one of the ways we think you can best support what we do here. And that would do it for me. Dennis, your turn.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're going to have Mr. D. Curtis appear to talk about the business aspect of entertainment. We enjoy all the songs that people are singing, being it or comedy or songs, whatever. We enjoy that, but are they making money? What can we do to support them? What are all the things that go into production so that when we listen to their music or we burn that free CD, we should also think about what they are losing. So Mr. D. Curtis, who's also a financial and business guy, is going to talk about the business aspect of entertainment. Then at 6 o'clock, we have someone from the American Census Bureau will come here and explain to us about Census 2020. Why should we care about that and what we need to do? Because there's census this year, so we want you to be part of that. Until then, from me, Mr. CA, and everyone else at Focus on Liberia, we say thank you so much for watching. Good night, and God bless you.